Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So I'm here on Papenburg. J-Dude had a little bit of extra work to do. There's another person that helps him out. So they were actually on and did a good hunk of it. So I'm going to see what I can get from this space, because obviously right now I'm in a bit of a position of just really needing income to get to that field. That was almost bad, so I need to be careful with that. I didn't think I was going that fast, but clearly farm simulator physics was starting to disagree with me. So there was a comment made that, well, I don't know what happened there. Wasn't me, I'm using the sprayer. And this is the first trip up here. So I was looking for a tanker. I guess let me tell what's going on right here first, and then we'll jump around and share whatever else is worth sharing. So you can see this is herbicide. They said there's nothing up here in the silos for that, and so the work he had done was to go ahead and plant this field that I'm now passing by, which is 78 with soybeans, and then that field needs to have herbicide sprayed all over it. So I'll certainly be more than happy to do that. And but he said there's nothing up here in the meridian, so I don't know. I guess I'll see what I find. So 79 is the one north of that there. So that's the bigger one. Ah, okay. So it's just the standard meridian, but let me take a quick peek. I always love these, like you can't tell. Alright, so solid in seeds. And then what is this? And lime. Okay, so probably because it doesn't take lime. Oh, I see, these are all lime. Alright, so that also means kind of what I thought, is I am also out of fertilizer. So I am going to go grab what we have down at the farm, or down at the main yard, I should say. This is obviously still part of the farm, but I'm going to go and grab that. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave all of this here, because I can always transport it later if I need to, or I'm sure, you know, the better thing might be just leave some here, you know, kind of fill things up as we need them. But this is our need right now. All the other fields this year are already planted and herbicided. So it would seem that it would make sense to put all that here. And then I will go ahead, but this was the new silo, so if you watched the other video where I shared and I was working and he spent like $3 million, this stuff was what he was doing. You know, and obviously not really any way to do it without taking a hunk of the field, but you know, it is what it is. So looks like they left a plow up here for something. Don't know why, but so these fields are not incredibly easy to get to. I will say that as well. It's just sort of strange that they're tucked away. But I mean, this does give you a little bit of, again, the challenge with this being a map that I would enjoy being an FM on. It's just a lot of squares and rectangles that are tucked away in ways that they don't seem like a real world location. And I don't think this is, you know, again, other than loosely, like, hey, we're just creating a space in this region so that, you know, I'm sure they do the trees and whatever, but let's see. Just trying to figure out, I guess the way I went is probably the best. So we'll go here, we'll go around the corner, we will then go back down to the fields, and then we'll see, because if I don't have, say, 40 or 50,000 liters, I think I'd be a little bit worried as far as having enough. So this may become just a lot of driving around to get the material we need. So I mean, there is that vastness to the map, if people want, and I do suppose, if I was to comment on, sorry, I thought I went too far, but no, the road's down here. I'm looking at the wrong thing on the mini-map. I'm like, oh, I gotta be up there, but no, this is the road that comes out through the woods and then gets me over and down to where we need to go. But compared to, say, Wild West, which is, again, a bunch of squares and rectangles, you know, other than along the river that goes along there, there's at least a little bit of stuff around here with the town and so forth. So I suppose it does have that going for it. So if it was a choice between those two, maybe I would then pick this one, because yes, the fields are rectangular or whatever, but they're askew and things like that, so that might work. Alright, so I think I had mentioned that I'm not going to be able to help with the harvest tomorrow because I've got a commitment in real life to work the poles here, and that's, you know, that's a 5 a.m., probably even before 5 a.m., because we kind of want to get places, so I got to drive there to probably 9 p.m. things. So even if I was able to get on and was going to do anything, it'll be an hour or two at the end of the day. Can I not load this? Because obviously you can load the other equipment, but I want to see, can I? Well, that is a bad thing then, if I can't do that. That's really sad. I mean, then either way, I'm still going to have to get some liquid fertilizer, but let's see. So now I'm over the trigger. Alright, there we go. So there's more herbicide. Alright. So I'm going to take all of this at this point, and if I don't use it, I'll bring it back. The truck will be up there. But it would be foolish to try to estimate when I have no frame of reference. You know, my only frame of reference is this. This was a full sprayer. Like, I am empty at this point, or very close to empty. I think I might have a little bit left. So I probably have 4 or 5 more of those, which I think is going to be like, I think it's 9,720 or something is the capacity. So, you know, that would mean I'm pretty close to 40,000. And so I may not bring it back either, because I think if I get down to 20,000 or so left, it's probably just better to leave it there, because this is closer to the sell points for product, and it's easier to replenish this than it is to replenish that up there. I decided I'm not going to make you watch everything pouring in. Just finished up, so it took about 2 minutes. So it's not a quick process to fill these things up, but this is a lot better to do this than try to drive the sprayer down here every 10,000 liters. And so at this point, between delivering that herbicide and then bringing this up there, I have a good amount. If I don't have enough to finish, I've sure made the good old college try, that's for sure. But between the two, I've got, 130,000 liters of product that I can put on those fields. Yeah, it's kind of the Murphy's Law with work on the other farms, because basically this farm and the other one, I mean, so the problem I would have had is I would have had a conflict anyway, where I'm working on two farms. It would have just been an exceptionally long day, but obviously that doesn't give me that opportunity to earn. And I think we might have olives left on Lomeric's map, but he's basically going to be able to get the cotton all done on his own. And probably I would spend 3 or 4 hours on there, because I would do the same thing I did before, which is harvest, but just let the harvesters, the other two harvesters do their AI thing while or the other three do their thing on cotton while I did the grapes to begin, and then I would hop over and take over one of the cotton harvesters and finish up. And so I think it was like 3 or 4 hours maybe to get everything done. And some of that was wrestling the harvesters out of the building. So now that he's changed that, like, that time should be gone. Similarly, they're harvesting. Oh, goodness. I was only going like 30. Oh, this is not even. Oh, boy. Well, this is just a weed field, so. Like, this isn't even the road yet. That would have really been annoying. Yeah, I do have to be careful, though, because if I tip over way up here, I mean, then I have to get like a telehandler up here, because that's pretty much the way you do things in Farming Simulator to get things back upright. And then that'd be a long ride up and back. So definitely not a fun thing. So we shall see how this all plays out. But yeah, here I'm sure, because it was going to be half the fields or whatever. I think I may have hit something, a little plant right there. So bad on me in that case, but I didn't do the other one. So that was someone else. But, well, what I probably should do is just park this here now that I think about it, because then it's almost like a mobile silo. Alright, so I still have 1,600 liters left, as you can see. So go ahead, start that up. And then there's obviously that island in the center here that is going to take a little bit of work to go around, and I don't know, I was kind of thinking I just may, I'll definitely do a circuit around as soon as I get to it, and then go ahead and just maybe do this side and then that side, and then eventually keep cutting all the way across. But yeah, it just, as the luck would have it, what that turns into is, like, probably tomorrow I'd be able to work as much as I wanted. So if I wanted to put in 8-10 hours or something, I'd be able to do that. And that would obviously go a long way to getting me a good hunk of money to make some progress. But with regards to that, I did have I did some contracts last night. I tried 2 before getting back on here this morning. There were other contracts out there, but other FMs, or other people, I should say, they weren't necessarily FMs, got to them before I did. So I did what I could. I jumped on to help with some sugar beets, and that was basically almost done, so I think I got an hour there. Then I had another one that looked like it was going to be to plow some fields, but I got on and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, all of this stuff looks plowed, and so I ended up direct messaging that FM. And eventually they came back and said, yeah, they took care of it all themselves yesterday, and they thought the contract was gone. They didn't realize it was still up there. So he was kind and sent me a little bit for the inconvenience, because I did spend probably 10 or 15 minutes in there or whatever. So sometimes folks do that, so that was nice. Yeah, I think when I get down here at this point, I'm surprised I made it all the way over. But at this point, I'll head over to that truck and try to fill up, because usually you can just back up to it, not have to fold, but at least be able to refill. And so that will help move things along. But yeah, I had 1600, I think, so it's using maybe 1500 to go across. Not quite, obviously. It's a little bit less than that, but you understand what I'm getting at. Alright. So we'll just drive up there. I'm on +1, so I want to be on, I think, +2. Or no, 0. Alright. I forgot if I was on this side of 0 or the other side, so I want to go back and restart on 0. But yeah, like, this is too far away, but if I back up to it, I should, per what I've been able to do, say, in FS19, and I think I've done this in FS22, like, I should be able to fill up here. There we go. So that way, you can just very quickly do it, and you don't really have to worry about it too much. But obviously this is much faster than trying to drive all the way back to where the storage silos were, which is also obviously why he's putting storage silos up here for supply, because if we're doing this and he also buys 79, like, there's going to be massive need for material. Oh, it's only 6,800, so it's almost 10 loads worth, so yeah, we'll see. I still think it'd be better to leave it up here and then we decide to move it later than retransport it and not have stuff up here. So we'll see. We'll see what makes sense. Alright, so now this gets us going across. I'm probably, I might have gone to, no, I don't think I went too far. I might be okay. Yep. Alright, but as I get over toward the middle now, the next pass would not be clear, so I am going to go ahead and make that loop this time. So I'm basically going to go by it, and then I'll just circle around and then join back up and continue onward. So it looks like there's a lake or something in the middle of the field there, which is why you have that. So that's better, certainly, than some maps that just put things in the middle for no reason. And it's like, well, plow over it and make it part of the field or something, because sometimes it's easier. I know on Shellbrook I had left stuff like that just as character building obstacles, but that becomes pretty unentertaining pretty quickly otherwise. So I was debating if I want to come down, and I still may actually do, like, really go all the way around. Alright, so I'm going to go by it a little bit. There we go. And now I'll cut over. Looks like we at least have a little bit of border around this, which is nice. It's not just immediately the trees and the crop going right up to the tree line. Alright, hopefully that stays that way. It looks like it does. But yeah, but even with what I had in Shellbrook, like they were just little indents that had like wild weeds or something growing, and I probably could have plowed them over and turned them into part of my field pretty easily, because people certainly had asked me, like, why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, well, I don't need the acreage, so, and I'm like, and I can drive through them was what it was, so it's like, I just ran as if they weren't there. We're here, obviously, with the trees and or the water. Like, even if the trees weren't there, you wouldn't really be able to do anything there appropriately, so you'd fall into the lake and drown, or at least the vehicle would stop running. So in this case, it is a natural obstacle that, again, makes sense to have. So it looks like this diagonal exists on both corners. That's pretty interesting. Lakes usually aren't quite that symmetrical, I wouldn't think, but it's a man-made lake, whether we like it or not, because this map was made by a human. So, but no, what I was debating was, do I go down this edge, or do I just go to the end of the field like I'm going to, and then come back? But what I decided is, no, I'll do that, and then, again, I can do the half that I was talking about if I come all the way through here. Alright, so the challenge ends up being, once again, because you can't see anything through the crops, you're just kind of ballparking. Well, I think I was here. Whoops, and I bet I went too far, so let me back up some and then go, because at this point I should be fine. So there we go. So we've got the edge, but we're down to 5,000 and getting ready to kind of go there. So I'm creeping up on 600,000 in the amount of money I have, so it's helping, certainly. And that's where he had posted this stuff initially, and with the planting, I think I would have gotten closer to the, obviously, to the 5 hours he was estimating, because he, you know, whether it was pity work or whatever, I'll take it at this point, because basically he's like, well, I put some jobs up, because initially May was supposed to be an off day, and so maybe these were things he was going to do that he's like, well, since he's off tomorrow and I'm not paying him for harvest as well, you know, I'll give him a little bit of money here, and, you know, that was the thought or whatever. But he basically let me know, or let us know, hey, I put something up, especially with you being out tomorrow and so forth. So I'm going to do what I can here to make some progress. So I'm going to wrap this up at this point, because you know what I'm doing. I'm fertilizing this field, and I'm putting herbicide on the one north of here, and that's it. And then, you know, I'll continue seeing if there's anything else, or if at that point I'll have spent enough time and, you know, be doing whatever else I'm doing. So for now, I'll wrap this up. I think, since that's all we talked about here, I'm gonna either make this, so I'm gonna leave myself narration that's a wiggle room. Like, if this is long enough, this turns into 35 or 40 minutes that I have, that's probably a long enough episode. But if it ends up being like 20 minutes, then I'll just continue on with whatever else I'm doing next. So I will see you in a bit. I'm back here with Farmers Only Club, and just kind of getting you up to speed on where things are. It's been several days since I've actually included anything, because it's just been a lot of repetitive things of what we've seen, and given how far ahead I was getting, I was like, you know, I could probably forego showing every little time I'm on and what I'm doing and so forth, and give you guys a little bit of a break. and kind of focus more on what is going on my own farm, as opposed to just what I'm doing in between. So that what you've missed over time is just opportunities to make some money, continue going forward and getting enough to still try to get the field. We're not really at the point, I'm really at the same position where I think I was 2-3 days ago, the last time I did anything with this, and I'm just over $700,000. So, and I gave Limerick kind of a bit of a heads up, like, hey, I was down to like 200 to 300,000. I've gotten my balance back up to 700. I realistically probably want to get the balance to 1.1 million before we go ahead and say, yeah, let's get the appraisal and go from there. Just so that there aren't any fits or starts of not being able to get the field. So I've got a little ways to go, but I have, I think, about 5 hours of the work I've been doing here. So we're here on the farm one of the 2 farms we've been helping with, and at this point, almost exclusively, I've been doing J Dude's farm and Limerick's farm is where I've been working. And then if for some reason there have been some times where they didn't have enough, I'd look for a contract and just grab random contracts. And so I probably made 30 or 40,000 of that 700 in the last few days with things that were contracts that I worked an hour here, an hour there, hour and a half, whatever it was. Because I think there were 3 or 4 contracts that I did go ahead and try to work with. So we are here on field 77, which is one of the large fields. I don't recall if I included any of this on the previous episodes or not, but there's 3 large fields up here. There's a couple other folks that are helping out on the farm, plus one of the other FMs. Big Mike was on here last night helping on this field too. So we started this field yesterday. I'm trying to get further along and or finish it this morning. We'll see if I have enough time before I need to step away to get done. But the reason I wanted and decided, well, I'll include some of this and at least let you know where I'm at, because otherwise I think it would be too short to do everything just on my farm. But today should be the sell day for my crop. So I do want to share that with you guys and the activity of doing that. But want to do at least include a little bit more. And yeah, these are really big fields. Let me go ahead and dump this again. So the reason I had to go to the middle of the field, I was trying to see if I could make it all the way across, because in the beginning, like, we couldn't. And as I discovered, we still couldn't. It just fooled me, because I thought I was way past the halfway point, and I was only 60% full coming from the other side. And then suddenly it just caught up with me, and I was at like 93% with where I had left the field there. So as you can see, adding another 28%, I was not going to make it to the end. But not a terrible amount of time here. Trying to get into these fields was a challenge, because I guess there aren't really header trailers for these. They introduced these new headers, but there's no trailers that go with them. And so I think we were putting them on the back of a low loader on the semi and strapping them down and bringing them in here. So I was not part of that, but I saw some of the pictures, because I did ask, like, I tried to drive over here since I didn't have it, and did fine until I got to the road where there were trees. So, but on this, we basically have to go halfway. So I've got a truck here, a truck on each end, because we cannot make the entire length of the field. And it looks like we're going to have to lime this. I think they were trying to redo everything. But yeah, this farm is intense. It's all I can say, because like they were on planting and whatever, and I mean they're in essence double cropping, because they replanted with soybeans, which will be harvestable in a couple months. So it's a lot of possible work. I think this is going to become a balancing act of how much do I really want to participate in, because otherwise it can be all-consuming. And I get for the FM who's running the farm, if they want to do that and spend all their time there, that's fine, but not my cup of tea, not what keeps me motivated and excited. But there's nothing specific. I'm at the point on Lomeric's farm, that's the time of year where I just need to prune the grapes. I think also I may not have talked about or may not have shown. So due to real life activities, I was not able to be on for cotton harvest for him. So that got done, and it looks like he did a little bit of the grapes. I did the olive harvest for him yesterday. So that's, again, a couple more hours, and so that's my piece between all the hours I built up for the year on Lomeric's farm. You know, I'm probably looking at another 150,000 that I've already earned between this farm and that one of unpaid work. So, you know, I'm probably closer to 850,000 at this point, but still just a little bit short. But I'm going to get this going at this point, and then at some point I'm going to hop back over to Hobo's Hollow, and maybe I'll prune the grapes first and then move my stuff. I don't know. But at some point I'm going to move my crops. So I will see you in a bit. I am back, but as you can see, it's not November. I technically missed the best window that I possibly could have. Looks like cotton bales are still out on the field. So right now it looks like Highway Producers is the highest one I can sell to. There's a Players oil mill that theoretically pays more, but obviously we're not really allowed to sell that way. We'd have to kind of negotiate with each other, I think, because otherwise they end up with all kinds of extra crop for free, and sure, I'd get some money, but I don't think that's the intent. So I'm gonna head over around the field here. So this is field 41 and 42. But yeah, I just got super busy. Not sure if that's oilseed or not. Doesn't honestly matter, I suppose. I just don't want to let the prices drop even more. So I'm trying to remember. Alright, well, that's all the light we can get with this truck, so I apologize, but this is it. But, alright. But I think I have like one or two. Now where? Now I'm confused where I am. Oh no, this is 36. Again, the one I'd like to pick up, but I'm saving for. So on that front, got about $100,000 more. Been helping with a mega harvest over at J. Rodeo, so that earned me a good amount of money there. Still have more options. There's more harvesting today, so that is where my focus will be next. Because other than pruning grapes, there's not much going on here. So I'm gonna now swing over here and grab my canola. Question is, does he still have stuff parked there? No, thank goodness. Alright. So let's see. So wheat, this guy does corn, so yeah, so he's just got a little bit of corn, and there's my canola. So it'll be one trip, so this will be easy. What I'm trying to figure out, because the added situation I have, I mean, this week's been challenging, and then it looks like real life stuff. There's some projects I'm getting involved in at work that are going to be significantly more time consuming than what I've had in the past, so that is definitely going to cut down on my ability to do things in anything, and but in here for sure. So yesterday I did very, very little. That's not entirely true. I mean, I had time for that harvest, but obviously I then didn't have time to come in here. And at the end, with the price I'd be getting, which is $7.35, that's where I'm headed. As long as it stays there, I mean, it should not fall more than like $7.34 or $7.33 by the time I get up there. It's not that far. But by the time I do that, and I'm off by a little bit, so it's really not enough to worry about. But with all those time constraints, it's going to obviously slow things down a bit for what I'm going to be able to do. And so one of the other things is Lomeric's going to be gone on vacation, so he's not planning on doing anything on his farm. So he said if I wanted to lease or crop share, he's just curious if I'm interested. I've asked him for information on it, but I have also been upfront and said it's likely I may just take a pass. But we'll see how everything goes, so I'll see what feedback I get. Oh, that's interesting. So they're like set up, at least with some greenhouses and stuff, because I think some of this, no, I think all of this might be the Yellow Farm stuff. Alright, now what I've got to... so yeah, it's down in this direction. Because yeah, on the map I've used before, there was a BGA up here, but now this is okay. So that's right, this is where you're crossing through the river, but it's shallow enough that it's okay. But I do remember, I think this is a normal sell point here, and then it's just figuring out where we need to go to sell. Is that the dump point too? Yeah, I guess so. Alright, everything happens there. It's a giant location and just a lot of stuff. Alright, so here we go. My first income from the farm. So we'll see what we end up with. It's gonna be a good amount. I mean, I paid like, I think it was like $7,000 in rental fees for the equipment, so not too bad. 73,196. Not sure. Again, I'll assume that's about $735 per thousand. See, it's 734 now, so I may have lost that little bit, but on 99,000, that's basically would have cost me $100, because that's per thousand pricing, and we had just about 100,000 liters. But so all told, maybe $300-400 swing by not making it in yesterday on $73,000, so would have been closer to 73.5. But it is what it is, and that's the world of real-time servers. And if you can't do it, you can't do it. I just was so tired last night. I was going to do it before I went to bed, and I'm like, you know, I'm just not going to do it. And I'll take what I can get, because I knew in December it would be starting to fall, but again, as long as I got in early, it shouldn't have been too bad. So I would agree that that's kind of where we ended up here. You know, I probably should go over the other way, because getting back to the farm to just drop this off would be good. So I've been thinking a little bit of kind of creating a bit of a little challenge in here. It's just I have to be realistic a little bit in what I can and can't effectively do with the amount of money I may or may not have. But what I was thinking of potentially doing is really, rather than taking advantage of the fact that I have access to folks who have lots of great equipment and so forth, that maybe I focus on basically earning my way to my farm. You know, and that means, like, obviously getting enough money to do things and working up that way. Because leasing equipment is certainly easier, you know, and leasing equipment from them. I mean, I could still always lease equipment from the shop. That would be something that would work, but that will cost me more, far more for everything. But somehow it just seems like it would be an interesting challenge. So I may go that route. I'm kind of still so far ahead on these. You know, I'm in kind of approaching mid-August here. Whoops. And now I just realized I went too far. Can I get over this way? Let's see. Because this is the north end of the grape field. I just don't know what the tree situation is. Yeah, I guess I can. Alright. So I'm like, I passed the road because it's dark and I can't tell where I am. Alright, I think if I go through here, I can get to the grass strip in between. Man, this is it's just hard to get around on the dark in this map. I'll tell ya. But yeah, and I think that's why Lomeric, like, didn't even bother picking up the cotton, because he was kind of like, well, I'm not farming next year, so he's got a year to do it. But, alright. So let me hop over to the work I'll be doing later, and we'll connect up there and keep having a bit longer of a conversation. So I'll see you in a bit. I am back here, and been here for quite some time. I've done this but yeah, been working on this all day, on and off. You know, not been able to focus on it 100%, but it's been many hours. Again, just trying to get myself the money so that I can get myself the field. What's probably going to happen, given that Lomeric is not going to be running his farm for the year, is I am probably going to have more than enough money when he gets back. But, you know, I'll just have to figure out what I'm going to do over the coming year on my field. Probably going to go ahead and maybe, I mean, I suppose what I could do, what I need to think about is if I want to maybe rent or lease 36, or if I just wait, because, you know, doing the 1 year, I don't know that it makes sense. I mean, there's always some interest in, like, yeah, I could do it, because I think he said it would cost me $1,500 an acre, So there's a lot of chatter going on. Not sure how much I'll get in here. Might end up being really short, because I've got to wrap up soon, and that'll be the end of the episode no matter what. So if it's 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes. But yeah, it would cost me about $50,000, if not a little bit more, to lease the 36 acres. Plus I've got to pay for all the usage. I'd have to rent equipment and obviously have seed and all that. So given that we made, what, 74,000, and I think we put like 10,000 on that smaller field into it. I mean, that's what I mean. I think we'd maybe make 100,000 off that field, and with everything said and done, I probably would net like 25,000 in profit for all that work. So that's kind of my thought of, while leasing is intriguing and it gives you something to do, it's not the most profitable use of the land, because you're basically throwing away $1,500 of profit. Back once again, next day, early morning, the rest of the fields have come up. So I did not quite finish 78. They went ahead and finished that up, and they also added yard space up there, which also allows us to keep a harvester up there and so forth. So I assume over time they'll get more equipment, but he put up 3 sheds and took a good hunk of the field. I don't know that I would have made the same choice, but I get it. You know, I think they're trying to pull 79 in as well to their farm, and now that we've got what seems like a pretty active group of 2 to 4 of us, maybe, that kind of are at least available on and off, I think he's feeling pretty comfortable maybe going the big route for a little while. I am anticipating at some point that the prestige bug that he seems to be excited about is going to take hold, and that this will dry up as well, but I'm getting kind of close to what I need. I'm now over 800,000, and technically I'm really closing in. I'll certainly probably be over 900,000 owed before I get done today, almost certainly, because there's plenty to do. So all these fields can be done, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to just start working that way. And then there's these and that one if I really want to just go crazy, because I could imagine doing all that would take 7-8 hours at least, and we'll see how things go. I definitely have to do stuff in the middle of the day and so forth, so you know, it will be what it will be, as it always is. But realistically, I've not been doing a whole lot else this whole week. There's just a lot of shifts in the structure of my days and my time. A lot more busy at work with a project that requires a lot more focus, which is all well and good, but that obviously impacts things. And then just trying to keep up with anything that I can do otherwise on the channel with the other sims I've got going on. So the other thing I'm monitoring is Euro Truck had the 1.48 update that we had obviously in ATS, and because I'm using modded maps there, I'm in the situation where I am waiting for pro mods to be done, so I'm shifting some things around and filling slots, but missed a Euro Truck update. And you know, and that's all okay. I don't necessarily need to keep going specifically there, because there's not a specific goal other than just to keep moving along. So everything's been okay that way. I've got enough in most areas, but I will have to spend some time on the VIP series, which I look forward to because I haven't been there for a while, and that one's always been pretty exciting for me. So looking forward to that, and was thinking maybe this weekend would be a good time to do a little bit of that. But gonna see how far I can get. So the other fields are something else. I forget what they are. They're some kind of grain. Sorghum? Yeah, so it looks like sorghum. Okay. Oh, so 74 is sorghum as well. All right. So that makes sense that they all came able to be harvested today. I don't think 42 was available yesterday. It may have been. But at this point, I've been able to do this field. It's just been one harvester load, and obviously I'll be done with this in the next harvester load. He's talked about making 69 a grass field for a little bit until he builds up silage again, so it looks like there's going to be a bit of a shift. It looks like maybe he already did that. Can't tell. It doesn't say it's growing, but it also doesn't show harvested or whatever, which usually means it's something like grass that doesn't really snap that way or report that way as harvested at certain points. So, alright, looks like I'll get 2 more done, and then I'll be able to head over to that other field, which is pretty exciting. Would like to at least get that going, but I've got a couple hours here at least, so that was my point, is I think I'm going to get, 2 hours, which will get me another 26,000 in earned income. That should be enough to get me over the $900,000 hurdle, and definitely we'll do more later in the day. So I could see another 4 or 5 hours, because that's basically, I think, what I ended up with yesterday was between I think I almost had 6 hours in total on field 78. So that just gives you some size examples of what you're talking about there, but they're not minimal. I think it was also shared that we got 2.4 million liters of canola off the fields that we were harvesting, so that's a little crazy. But, so he's able to sell that for quite a bit. And I think he used the sale between one farmer and another on another server, so that they just got transferred out of the silo for about 1 million of that. So he was telling us, hey, you don't have to transport it. A little bit half-jokingly, because certainly there's truth to it. I mean, that's great news for him, but as contractors, it's not good news for us, because that's income we could have made transporting. We could have spent an hour or two transporting that to sale points here, and instead we don't get to do that, so it's lost wages for us. But for him, it's probably a fiscally responsible thing, because I think he paid a little bit less, or got paid a little less. It was just over 700, where he could probably get 720, 730 if he tried to sell it within the game and waited till it was up at the top. So he lost whatever it was, $25 per thousand on 1 million liters, so kind of was like, it might have been about the same as if he paid us and transported it, but at least now he has it. So other than that, I'm continuing on, and yeah, definitely leaning from a complexity standpoint rather than trying to plan out, hey, I'm going to lease this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to borrow this, and, take that stuff. I'm thinking, maybe targeting the farm in a way that lets me just progress at whatever speed I can earn. Might be the best option. Let's see, I was going to drive to the truck, but that makes no sense because I need to get the truck over in this direction anyway. Well, I guess I need to go empty this. Oh, that's interesting. That's right, I got to go up to field 36 because these are obviously soybeans, so I'm going to have to go empty this. So I guess we'll go drive in between and go drop that off. So I'll keep you around for that still, just so you've got something to enjoy here from the farm sim standpoint. Is that... It's so dark I can't tell exactly. Yeah, that's the silos up there. Alright. I was just looking if it was worth taking that other truck with me, but I don't think it makes sense, so... But here we go. And I don't recall how much yield a sorghum does, if it's high yield or not, so I'm not sure how I'll be able to do things, but I think at this point I'm going to leave the truck here and then just jump in the harvester, because, you know, if I can basically leave a truck on each end again, that might be the cleanest thing. It's just so dark, but yeah, that's right. I can get... I don't know this farm that well that I'm comfortable with it in the dark. So, alright. And it looks like we've got a couple trucks, or a couple trailers here at least. So, I'll get him pouring along. Whoops. Can't do that, I have to leave it running to pour. And now we can turn back around, and I think... Oh no, not quite. I think I'm at the corner or the bottom, but no, I gotta go down a little bit. So the nice thing is this is a grass field, so I can just kind of line myself up here and go for it. So I'm gonna move this over a little bit as it needs to, and then hopefully I'm close enough to the line here that I'm going to give myself a little bit of leeway so that if it floats a bit, I'm not left collecting up some tiny bit of something. And that should work. Alright, so sorghum leaves. I forget how some of these harvest, but yeah, it leaves some stubble on there for sure, but we're getting kind of the top tassels off, I guess, is what it looks like. So actually this was pretty straight, so could have moved over a little bit, but it's probably a meter or two at most that I have kind of moved over, but it'll all work out in the end. Next to me is something else. Is it growing already? It is. Interesting. What did he plant there? Let's see. He planted canola? Yes. Alright, so he put canola in on 75 and 34. I think he talked about doing that. Now that isn't going to hit this year, but it'll be set. But I should be able to just, you know, go over it in the first growth stage. It shouldn't be something that I would damage yet. So the nice thing then is I can just keep going along this line. Now the biggest disconnect would be if I go this way and can't get to the end. Then I have a bit of a problem, but I'm thinking I'll be okay. I mean, I'm 30%. Got a lot of lag hitting me here. That just sucked up 4% more. So, I mean, it's harvesting at a pretty good clip. But I guess I'll see what it is. But I am going to keep going with this. And that is what I'm doing today. I don't know that I'm going to go look for any contracts. I've got more than enough work here, and I enjoy harvest work. It's probably one of the most enjoyable things I've got in Farming Simulator. It's kind of the culmination of everything you've done all year, and you know you're getting to that point of being able to be paid. You know, again, I'm paid by the hour on the work I'm doing, but again, the farmer's being paid, which means he can afford to keep us employed going forward. There's a reason to do it because we're doing things for him that make money, and getting crop off the field is the most obvious linkage to that. So yeah, I am getting a little bit nervous because kind of the angle we're talking about. Like, I'm not going to get out of the field until where I'd be ending almost anyway. I mean, it looks like I might get that corner of that one field. So maybe if I just get to the green area, but at this point I've got 32% left and I can already see it. So I think I'll be all right. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I've just been babbling on long enough across various disjointed portions of the work I've done over the last few days. But I'll wrap this up, and I will see you next time.